the sheeple. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito.
What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and today we're going to get right into it. Russian fighter jet fires a missile near an RAF nuke sniffer spy plane over the Black Sea in a dangerous clash. Of course, to get right into it, it says a Russian fighter jet fired a missile near an RAF nuke sniffer spy plane over the Black Sea in a dangerous clash. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said that the unarmed RAF rivet joint was on a routine patrol in international airspace last month when it was tailed by two Russian Su-27 fighter jets. Again, this happened right over the middle. There's a lot of talk about the Black Sea right now. We'll get into that in just a minute. But obviously, there could have been a simple mistake that could have turned this into an extremely fast escalation. We'll get into this and much more in just a second with the rest of our show. Full bibliography at marfooglenews.com. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
He's a creepo, man of the sheeple. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. He's a creepo.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. If you're new here, if somebody just shared my show with you, there is a full bibliography over on marfooglenews.com. On top of that, you can actually get, of course, notifications directly from us on the platform. Again, they are not sending them out as they should be. So if you want them right when we press live, then make sure to go over and sign up at marfooglenews.com. You can also sign up for our email list. If we were to ever get put somewhere else or put in timeout, that's where you would find us. On the website, you'll see it's very easily organized. You just look for today's thumbnail. We are in for a ride. Once you click end of the line, you will see it brings you to a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we are going to show you here today. That way you can also grab a second device and follow along on a tablet or your computer. There is a yellow bar at the bottom. That is web only or overflow. That is all the stuff that could not fit into a 2-hour time period. We'll talk about that briefly at the very end of the show. Otherwise, there is a ton down there, so do not miss out. On the right side, there's affiliates. If you miss any of the product mentions, all of those products essentially support the show at the same time as get you a discount for something that you're probably already looking for anyways. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So, Liz Truss ends up resigning after 44 days in office. Of course, we covered when the last guy went out, he was getting criticized all over the place. Well, Liz Truss is basically getting the shaft. She apparently has a 10% approval rating, which is 6% higher than Putin right now. In Britain, their actual approval rating system has her basically next to Adolf. It's pretty nuts. It says, embattled British Prime Minister Liz Truss announced she would step down from office Thursday after serving just 6 weeks in the position. Truss's tumultuous stint was marked by a fiscal fiasco and a hostile opposition from her own Conservative Party over her proposals to cut taxes on corporations and the wealthy, which sent financial markets into a weeks-long slide. This was a quote directly from her. It says, "I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected," she said, a day after pledging to remain in office as, quote, "a fighter and not a quitter." So literally a day after she says, "I'm a fighter, I'm not a quitter," they were like, "Ma'am, you have to quit." "I'm a quitter, I'm not a fighter." It was pretty fast. Her resolve collapsed after her senior minister stepped down and a House of Commons vote descended in a disarray as party members called on her to step down. Truss, 47, replaced Boris Johnson, who resigned over the summer following his ethics scandal, in that 50 members of the government to quit in protest. Britain's shortest tenured leader had been welcomed into office by the late Queen Elizabeth days before the monarch passed away. Basically, the Queen said, "Oh, come on in," and then she passed, and they were like, "Get out." This obviously is not good. The UK is already having tons of issues, as we covered over the last couple days. They are already preparing the UK for power cuts and all sorts of things to happen, blackouts, mandatory blackouts, and possibly blackouts that last up to 48 hours, according to some of the secret scripts drafted up by BBC, warning people that they might have to sit in their car in the coldest days of winter and listen for further instructions. So they are going through all of the paces right now. For you in the UK, if you are watching from the UK, let me know what you think of this. Do you like Liz Truss? Are you one of the, I guess, 10% that likes her? Let me know how you thought she did. Obviously, that was a very short time in office. And then remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com/friends if you want to go check out something. If there's a night where, say, I'm not doing well or something like that, make sure you go over and check that out, because we have all of our friends, all of our mods channels. They're all wonderful creators, authors, and everything else. So make sure to go check them out. We got tons of great mods down in the chat right now. We got Bones, CJ Blaze, Jammer, Lisa R. Hall, PNW Affliction, Rip Curl Readiness, RJL Harris Survival Game, and Trinity. These are the crew, so get to know them. They are awesome people. Very, very, very lovely creators. All right, and then Dex, were you expecting Liz Truss, by the way, to get booted so quickly? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. You know, I was wondering if it was the shortest term, but it actually isn't. Somebody back in 1746 only lasted a couple of days. I think that's the record.
1746.
But I had no idea anybody would be less than her. That just seems, you know, maybe in modern times, she pretty much holds the shortest term, because I don't think anybody since the 1800s probably had anything shorter. So, yeah.
Since electricity.
Wow.
Yeah. Since I mean, what was going on in 1746? I mean, that's a long time ago. That's not a trophy you want to hold up. And then this is something we have warned about. Obviously, a lot of you are on TikTok. The thing is most people, even if they know if something is evil, most everybody knows that the U.S. government is tracking and monitoring all of us. And what's crazy is after the Edward Snowden, all news broke that Edward Snowden told us that, hey, not only is the NSA listening to you, they're watching your cameras. Everybody, at first it was a big hit, but once people get desensitized to something, then they just kind of let it go. Most people kind of accept the fact that it's happening. And a lot of people say, well, how many people have you heard? Well, I'm an old lady or I'm an old man. I don't care if they're watching me. If they want to see my 65-year-old naked body walking around the house, and, that's that's down on them. I hear that all the time. People say, like, I don't care. Oh, I'm not a criminal. But the fact is they were tracking and tracing all of us, right? Well, I wonder if people will care that, of course, another country, a country that obviously people have thought about them invading us over years. They are technically an enemy. They could be infiltrating people at the highest offices right now. Their companies have been questioned for now years, including DJI, Huawei, and now TikTok. Obviously, TikTok has been a subject of contention for a while. It says that TikTok parent ByteDance plan to use TikTok to monitor the physical location of specific American citizens. That headline alone makes you think, which citizens are these? Are these the citizens that are already on a list? And who compiled those lists? Are the people that are compiling these lists that we already know about, Was this actually done for other reasons than what we think? Obviously, they're saying that people are on certain lists if they go against, such things as, I don't know, the PTA. If you go to your kid's school and say, I don't like how they're doing things, you're on a list. If you basically put anything on your Facebook regarding against the narrative, you're on a list. And where are those lists actually being utilized? That is a big question. TikTok, if they're tracking certain people, that would be a pretty big deal. I also think there's weird things that have happened, like accidentally everybody in California that owns a Bang Bang, basically all of their information, what Bang Bangs they owned, and everything else got leaked somehow by officials. It's like, how do these things happen? And it makes me think if there's information they would need, if they did end up ever doing something like a Dragon Day scenario, how would they do that? Probably be something like, I don't know, the biggest app in the world that's almost on every phone. But it says that the parent company, essentially, it says a China-based team at TikTok's parent company ByteDance planned to use TikTok's app to monitor personal location of some specific American citizens, according to materials reviewed by Forbes. So this isn't coming from a tabloid. This is Forbes magazine. The team behind the monitoring projects, ByteDance's internal audit and risk control department, is led by Beijing-based executive Song Yi, who reports to ByteDance co-founder and CEO Rubu Liang. It says the team primarily conducts investigations into potential misconduct by current or former ByteDance employees. But in at least 2 cases, the internal audit team also planned to collect TikTok data about the location of a U.S. citizen who had never had an employment relationship with the company, the materials show. It is unclear. Sorry, guys, I'm still getting over my sickness here. It is unclear from the materials whether the data about these Americans was actually collected. However, the plan was for a Beijing-based ByteDance team to obtain location data from U.S. users' devices. Dex, this is no surprise to us. We've been telling people for now years since the first question popped up about this, and now there's more and more information coming out.
Yeah, wake up call if you haven't realized this by now. Maybe this will do it, but this whole notion about them looking into and tracking everyone in America, or even just anyone that they choose to track, is kind of interesting and scary at the same time. It's also it makes you think about all these other apps that people install on their phones, whether it's a game or what was the other one, the Face app that was coming from a Vlad state company out of Vlad's country. All of these different things that are potentially getting your data and more importantly, getting your biometrics, or getting, something like your location. And then especially the ones where you spend so much time, like, Facebook used to be for many people and still is for many people, I guess. And now something like TikTok, which is embedded in all of our youth. I mean, they spend so much time on it. Like, everything that they're looking at, they're either being programmed or they're being tracked as to what it is they like and they want to see, and and it's sort of like building this incredibly powerful information system for that company to then, understand what these people, these end users, are actually doing, and or pushing content to them so they can manipulate their minds.
And of course, when you see videos, then they might just look like organic people sitting in their living room. They very well could be somebody paid to rehearse it 50 times over and to say, oh, I heard about this thing and it's crazy. Any one of those videos could be something that's actually Ganda, and it's being pushed by the algorithm. The For You page is obviously for you, right? Anybody that has used TikTok knows that it starts picking up on things. If you've looked it up, then all of a sudden for a week, you'll get the same kind of content. For say, my wife said that there was like a dispute about land, where neighbors are pissed off about their neighbor cutting their bush on their side of the thing. Watched one video on that, and all of a sudden it was like she was being shown all of these videos about land disputes between neighbors. And it was because TikTok thought that she was currently having a land dispute with neighbors about things, right? So they grab onto things like that. That's not, okay, so that's just trying to keep you on the platform. But as far as their terms of service, which Joe Rogan even went over, which is great because he has 100 million listeners and people actually heard that episode and it got out, but nobody cared, apparently. Their terms of service say that they even clarified that they are keeping track of your keystrokes. So when you're outside of the app, all of these apps are now tracking outside of the app. So even if somebody is not on TikTok, they've never installed it, possibly their wife has, or the system that is connected, if they're Apple or Microsoft, and all of their computers are connected with their phone, and it's ease of use, so you can send pictures here and send pictures there. All of a sudden, that computer that doesn't have TikTok, or the phone that does not have TikTok but is connected by Wi-Fi, that could possibly be accessed. Not only the other apps, if it knows your passwords and what you're typing in constantly, even outside the app, then it can all of a sudden say, hey, every day, 3 times a day, they're using this exact combination of weird numbers and letters. Okay, so we're going to try that on some of the other apps in the background. Now, you can't say that they're doing that because there's nobody's proven it yet, but it's like, why would they be keeping track of the keystrokes? Well, they say it's for the For You page and all of this. Now, I know there's TikTok creators here, there's TikTok users here, but just keep this in mind. This is something that everybody should know, and everyone should realize that this is pretty serious. And when it comes to everything else, there's a bigger picture that people are missing. Just kind of like now, there's more information, by the way. You guys know me. I've been talking about for 5 years about the whole Apophis thing and about stuff possibly hitting us and how there's all these weird operations and weird missions to go sniff out asteroids. Well, now they're saying that Apophis, when it comes through in 2029, it may go through a keyhole and then swoop back around and actually hit us. And now they're saying it actually may hit us in 2068 or something. But do you actually believe it's even going to hit us in 2068? Or do you believe it's not even going to hit us in 2029? Why are they doing all of these extra missions? And now, the more that time goes along, the closer to 2029 gets, we're getting more and more information that it's different from what we just learned. So it's like there's common sense things like, why is every country trying to get to Mars, get to the moon, where 1 year before all of the space stuff started, it was like nobody wanted to go. Nobody cared about it. We were closing down NASA. We don't need space. It's not worth it. Then all of a sudden, Space Force and all of these Hayabusa, OSIRIS-REx, OSIRIS-APEX, Hammer, hypervelocity asteroid and mitigation emergency vehicles, nukes, all these mitigation plans. For this, it's like the stuff is right in front of us, and people don't want to, I guess people just don't want to, they don't care, or they just want to use it and they want to go right past it, I guess. Let's see here. Seeking Truth is in the house. We got One Sun Observer, M. Carl, Neil. Let's see here. We've got Noreen Makuga, Tracy Lynn, Survival Game. Thank you for being here. Empress of Royalty. Let's see here. Tom Ludwig is here. Rob Malik. Thank you. Earth's Old Girlfriend, says Soul Rebel. Mirror 504, nice to see you. Wonderful to see everybody here today. Mr. Floyd, we got Missouri Man, and Clifford Plass, Scrappy Doo, Buster the Dog, and all sorts of great people. All right. And then we have China holds emergency talks with chip firms after U.S. curbs and, of course, all of these different restrictions that they just put into play. Dex, do you want to go over what happened with this? And these emergency talks are basically going over this.
We said, and we've said this a couple of times, that this is kind of a big deal. The stuff that our president has put in place, the sanctions around these chips, is almost conflict worthy. It's a big, big deal to Xi and to his country, especially the advancement of their technology. So if they don't have the ability to get high-tech chips or the ability to produce high-tech chips, they're going to be stunted, so to speak, in their own technical advancement. So this is why what we're hearing now is they've called their own emergency meeting with all of their chip companies that are inside their country to figure out what's their plan of attack going forward, because they have to, there's a lot of things that they're dependent on this technology that's actually developed outside of the country, especially these supercomputer chips, especially, some of these more advanced chips that come out. A lot of the innovation doesn't really come from Xi's country because they just manufacture. They just, copy and learn from. So all of the new stuff that keeps being built is typically built in the U.S., designed in the U.S., and then, sometimes made in Taiwan a lot of the times, and then, reproduced and manufactured in other locations. So this is a big setback for them if they don't get this, whether it comes to military functionality, if it comes to advanced computing, if it comes to supercomputing, anything that's high end, any of that stuff is going to be a critical issue for them in the not too distant future. They may be all right today, but tomorrow they won't be. And they know how important this is. So this is why, Taiwan is so important to them, but it's also, it also shows exactly right now how important this sanction or this embargo, so to speak, on allowing them to have access to this and allowing our companies or not allowing our companies to buy anything from them causes such a big problem.
So they were so tied. But by the way, so we have talked many times on how did we possibly let 95% plus of our active pharmaceutical, I think it's 97% of the active pharmaceutical ingredients that go into our antibiotics come from China. 90+% of the actual antibiotics come from Xi's country. And how did we let this happen? How did something that we depend on? Well, there are plenty of different things where they are dependent on us as well. And that is becoming more and more apparent that they do need us in certain ways. There's stuff they needed, but that is why they have been stocking up on things. That's why they have squirreled away 60% of the entire world's wheat. They've squirreled away 55% of the world's corn, and they actually only have 20% of the world's population. They're 1/5 of the population, but they have like 2/3 of all of the certain kinds of foods. Don't kid yourself. They have most likely. And by the way, Dex, remember they shut down all of their chip industry in their district. I wonder if they were just producing them. They didn't actually shut down, but they weren't shipping out. So they were keeping all of those chips for themselves. It seems to me like they're preparing for a war, and they're also preparing for sanctions beforehand. They just chopped off any LNG going out to Europe, so they are no longer selling LNG or the natural gas to liquid natural gas to Europe. On top of all of the other energy crises that they have going on, now they said, we're not doing that. So they're keeping food, they're possibly keeping chips, they're definitely keeping gas and natural resources. They're most definitely giving issues with lithium for these electric batteries and everything else. That's why we talked about people were waiting for the energy solar generators that you guys, of course, ordered through us. Those generators sometimes at one point were 6 months waiting list because lithium is being fought over right now. Lithium is going to be the future, or at least that's what they're forcing us to do, because they are basically banning gas-powered cars in all these places, and they're saying that we have to go all electric, which electric has its downsides as well. But the main point here is they are squirreling away almost everything, and it's very clear. If people don't see the writing on the wall or the writing on their face, I don't know what to say. At this point, it is not fear-mongering. It's, hey, your reality is about to be this. And it doesn't matter after it happens. It's not like we're going to be like, oh, well, we told you so. We're not going to be here to tell you we told you so. It's not going to be like CV. We're all going to be in our house watching the internet. I don't think we'll have internet. And that's my honest opinion, and that's every peer around me is saying the same thing. If you don't believe me, go around and get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get a fifth opinion, get an eighth opinion. Everybody is saying the same thing. I guess we're all just wrong, and I guess everything is going to be a nothing burger until we die, right? There's never going to be another 2001. There's never going to be another Pearl Harbor. There's never going to be another Gulf of Tonkin. Sorry, but I disagree. Thank you, Kenny Crowder, for supporting during the show. Popped in very early. And by the way, I missed your super chat during the live stream over on Marfoogle News. If you guys haven't seen that, I put some of the most important stuff from tonight in a short shareable video. If you can't handle 2 hours for the live show, we try to get out videos that are shorter that you can share out to friends and family over on our sister channel, Marfoogle News. Kenny Crowder, you actually said something over there. I don't know what the comment was. Basically said that you couldn't stay late, but thank you. Kenny Crowder says, thank you, Adam Dex Mods. Good evening. Foogle fam prayers. Tracy Lynn, and to all, be safe. Love your way. And then Snow Leo, thank you for all you do. Love the show and the fam. Thank you so much, Snow Leo, and thank you, Kenny Crowder, for your support. Thank you for supporting Independent. Over on D Live, lots of great people as well have popped in. Thank you so much, Chance, for modding. Thank you, Jammer. Wonder Woman, if you are there. Sniffles711, thanks for being so great and giving us the news. Well, thank you, Sniffles. And Michelle K, thank you for making it again. And Vicky K, thank you for making it every night. Much love, Foogle fam. And then the Citizen app, also surveillance tool. Michelle K, I have thought that too. Think about it. Everybody is doing their job for them. The Citizen app, everybody is recording, and I think it's cool, right? I didn't even think about that. I've told people to download that app, and I had no idea. I probably should look at who makes the Citizen app. Citizen app is where if there's a crime or even somebody getting arrested or a car crash, people pull out their phones and they say, hey, this happened here. It's great from the other standpoint of it, where if it gives you an alert and it'll say 1 block away, somebody was stabbed. Like, oh, I'm going to stay away from that block. And a step further, you'll be able to see the video of the person doing it, and you're like, oh, I just saw that guy. I'm going the other way. It will even give you geographic alerts like, hey, you're near somebody who just got banged, and you should get out of there. I didn't think about that, and that is actually a great point. I probably am already, the phone's probably already infiltrated by now if that's a bad company. And then President B, new export curbs place many Chinese Americans at risk of losing their jobs or their citizenships. So this was, by the way, called fake news when it first had whisperings of this. It says new export controls recently mandated by the B administration have placed hundreds of Chinese Americans at risk of losing either their jobs or their citizenships. So this is now being confirmed, absolutely. It says on October 7th, the U.S. government published a set of restrictions that essentially bar exports to China of American-made manufacturing equipment necessary for advanced chips production. This is a war move, people. It says the White House said the initiative was aimed at thwarting their capabilities at producing high-end semiconductors used in commercial and in military technologies. They're basically screwing their not only their economy by doing this, but also their military. They're trying to basically hobble their leg. However, a term in the restriction also extends itself to the people and not just organizations or companies. Based on the new rules, both U.S. citizens and permanent residents may be barred from supporting the development or production of advanced chips at Chinese factories without a license. Seems only if Xi wasn't, if they weren't a country like they are, and if they didn't have the kind of government they do, and if they weren't, a communist nation, whatever else, this would be pretty messed up, actually. But there's reason to do this. So they're doing it. And what do you think? Was this a good move, or was this a move that's possibly going to start a conflict? Dex, what do you think?
Well, if you're a U.S. citizen and you're getting paid lucratively to live over there and work in their factories and build those chips, where is your loyalty? Obviously, it's to the paycheck, I would assume, and maybe it's to the love of the tech, because if you really, maybe you're just really good at designing and developing that type of technology, so maybe you're passionate about it and you get this opportunity to do that. Are you willing to lose your ability to come home? Are you willing to just stay there and get paid by Xi, but never be able to come back to America again? That's the question.
Well, what's freaky about this is, that there's going to be people that choose that, and they're going to be barred from basically ever coming back. There's families that might lose their dads or moms because they choose to continue to get a paycheck. It's a pretty big move. I'm actually surprised that this current administration did something, that big.
And it happens to the ones that are here too. If they're they're in here under, a green card, or they're in here as a, foreign national. So it's a very big move. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out and what decisions are made. But like you said, this is a conflict move. It really is. People don't realize it, but it is.
Yeah, this is the war over electronics. Electronics is everything. Absolutely everything depends on these chips, from cars to, of course, small electronics to pretty much everything. All of our phones, all of the computers, everything that is running our infrastructure need these chips. Pretty much every market, even toys use these chips. So pretty big moves being made right now. All right, and then, before we move on, we're going to talk about Xi could invade Taiwan as early as this year. I do want to remind everybody, there are a lot of different threats against the U.S. We have talked about them for years. Obviously, if you've followed this, then you don't need to be explained why you should be looking at something like an EMP shield. But this company is the same company that has now contracts with agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course now they are on the DEMSO team, officially helping protect the Texas grid. This started out as a small, tiny company in Kansas making these by hand. They are still making them by hand, but after T-Man signed an executive order to harden our grid, they went into turbo mode, and they got a huge deal of customers. Now, of course, they have grown, but it is still the same small team. It is a veteran-owned business. It's 100% American-made down to the screws, and these EMP shields essentially ground the signal from all phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3, and multiple. They Keystone military tested to withstand over 40 before they just stopped. 40 different waves of it coming at them. And it can also protect you against CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, or the natural kind that would come from the sun. If we have a Carrington level event, I shouldn't say if, I should say when we have a Carrington level event hit us, then if you want your car to still run, if you want your house and all of the devices plugged in to keep going, if you want your motorcycle to get that 5 miles home, or your boats or your RVs or even your ham radio to work, you can get an EMP shield to plug directly into it or to be wired in. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off. It's a grandfathered in discount that also stacks on top of any sales. We're coming into the Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that. They're going to be having sales. Make sure to keep track of that because you can get extra savings on top of our grandfathered discount. Also, they have an EMP shield for the Energy Flex 1500. In fact, Energy Flex 1500 is the only solar generator that you can get a custom EMP shield directly made for that. That way you can protect your solar generator, keep going after everything stops. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that also protects against lightning, CMEs, and EMPs. Your triple protection. All right. And by the way, everyone who has already dealt with them can tell you how that company is. We only represent companies that we absolutely believe in and think will save your life, make your life easier, or make your life more comfortable during a disaster. Again, this helps us as well. They send us a commission. That way you're helping our independent channel. At the same time, you're getting a discount and something of value. You're not just, donating money towards something without getting something in return. So I believe this is actually better than super chats or anything like that because you are actually getting something out of it. I appreciate all of your support. But again, this, I think, is a win-win for everybody. All right, and then China could invade Taiwan as early as this year, U.S. Naval Chief warns. You're going to hear more of this in the coming weeks. There are already people coming out and saying they support his opinion. This naval chief basically says that this isn't a 2027 thing. Dex, when you saw this, did you think, man, this is exactly what I've been saying for the longest time? I called BS on the 2027 right off the bat.
Absolutely. 2027 to me just seemed like a, smoke and mirrors. Let's just put it out there and make everybody think that's it. But, all the actions, all the activities, everything they've been doing sort of, shows their intention is to move fast. And even we've seen in some of the recent statements coming out of Xi and his position is that, they're going to do this and they're going to do it soon. I don't think it's out of the realm of thinking it could be this year. I probably think it's next year, but you never know. We don't have much time left in this year, but it certainly could be something we see in the next few months. Now, this is a military leader, obviously with a lot more intel than anyone else here. He is speaking from two positions: one from his intel and his knowledge and his experience, and then two from a point of strengthening the military and wanting to make decisions and that are going to help build a stronger military. So he's going to also speak from that point of view, right? So you have to sort of think about why he's saying what he's saying, but there's a lot of truth in it. So I wouldn't necessarily dismiss this as always just trying to drum up more funding, which we often hear, especially down around budget times. They always say, all these people we need to do all this stuff for, so give us billions of dollars for the military. That's normal. But this is a little different. The times are very different right now. When we see these leaders come out and continue to either tell us about how there's, weaknesses that they need to shore up, there's activity that they feel is showing, signs of strength or potential movements that are going to happen from Xi, or in this case, making his own prediction of saying, hey, we need to be prepared now. 2027 is not the year, it is 2022. So.
And there's some quotes here too. Mind you, this gentleman, top brass, you can see. Look at his chest there. Jeez. This is the quote he put in here, and this is definitely pretty crazy here. I want a very specific one. It says, it's not just what Jinping says, it's how the Chinese behave and what they do. Gilday said in an event held by the Atlantic Council Wednesday, referencing the president Xi Jinping. It says, what we've seen over the past 20 years is that they have delivered on every promise they've made earlier than what they said they were going to deliver on it. I also want to point out they said that they would get 300 nuclear silos. I believe they're already past that. And some rumors are estimating that they already have 1,600 nukes. That is not confirmed yet. But mark my words, watch. In the next year, we'll find out they have quadrupled the number that they said that they were going to do. This is something, because remember, all of the other countries have, 5,000, 3,000, whatever it was. And Xi was way behind, and they basically started making all these silos. They started doing these amphibious vehicles and these civilian ferries and all of these other things. They said 2024. They finished in 2021. Same with the U.S. All of these different countries had these dates set out, and something happened behind the scenes where they sped up production. Obviously, it's preparing for what we are seeing now. That's my opinion. It says that they've delivered on every promise they've made earlier than they said they were going to deliver on it. And then it says, so when we talk about the 2027 window, which came from CIA intelligence, if you can put those two words together, Gilday said, in my mind, that has to be a 2022 window or potentially a 2023 window. He's saying it's not far out. This is what I've been saying the whole time. And every time, it's like weeks later, it will end up being in mainstream news that they're saying, oh, yeah, common sense says. And then the senior defense official added, I can't rule that out. I don't mean to be an alarmist by saying that. It's just we can't wish that away. Dex, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're so far ahead of the time. They've built cities that they can't even occupy yet.
Yeah, the ghost cities. That's a freaky that's a freaky thought. And what if they do have a grand plan where these ghost cities were going to be something they use, and they know that nobody's inhabiting them, so maybe they won't be a target? I think about that. Like, would we, if we were to just hit every populated center, would we hit those areas? Would we destroy those? Would those be in our plans to destroy if they didn't have any people in them? Also, if the world just did get totally devastated and they knew about it, would they create places that were similar to everybody's homeland that helped participate in the great, deception? So say there was French leaders that, helped Xi do this world takeover or something. So would they make them, I don't know, like a small city that looked just like France with a mini Eiffel Tower so they felt like they were back at home in the new world where they're ruling, and they'll get a blue bracelet instead of a red bracelet so they can travel freely and they can own cars and they can do whatever they want in the new world. And I mean, look at in the ghost cities, they've made replicas of all of these different places around the world, and nobody's there. It's literally a ghost town. There's barely people taking care of it. There's basic teams that clean the place and dust things off, but no one is living there. They have said that it's because every family needs to buy property and every young man has to buy, a home before they marry. They're in the culture, you have to buy a piece of property before you get engaged and all this other stuff. They say that it's part of the financial thing that they do. They keep building and building to keep their finances up. I don't believe much of it. I think that since they're storing away things, they're squirreling things away, they're probably also squirreling away the world's money. What also people don't put into perspective is how much money they are getting. They are the second richest, if not, we don't know exactly, there could be secret monies here and there. Every country in the world practically is doing business with them. I've shown you the very scary graph, and this is over real data from 1979, from when China opened up to capitalism and when they started letting their people say, hey, you can own a business and you can make money, but it has to be connected to us. And if you get big, and if you do end up getting big, you have to do exactly what the government tells you to. And you don't truly own anything. Even your house, if you buy a house, it's really still China's, but you're getting a 99-year lease on it or something, right? Well, when in 1979 they opened it up, you see a world map with all blue, and you see that the whole world is doing business with the USA. USA in blue, China in red. And then it time lapses throughout from 1979 to, I think, 2015 or 2014, and you see it going, and all the countries turn red, which means in that data that they were doing more business with Xi than they were with us. How do you think that they're doing business all over the world with almost every country, doing the manufacturing not only for the biggest and richest country in the world, but almost every other country as well? It doesn't matter where you go in the world, you will find things that were made in China. That money, it got filtered to the top. They are the second richest, if not, we don't know what their actual, we know what they claim. There could be secret stuff that they have. We don't know. But again, this is something that people need to watch out. They want to be the ruler of the world under their culture, under their religion, under everything. They have to be the top. They're not going to be number 2 forever, or at least that's what they don't want to be number 2 or number 3. They want to be number 1. They want their heavenly mandate fulfilled. So keep that in mind. And and then Xi has also done all of these different moves to stay in power. He has changed the way they have done things, and he is most definitely in support of being number 1. He actually came from nothing, and I believe his family had his father got screwed over in some way. So he's got baggage. Xi Jinping came from nothing. Truth Iris, what is going on? Luke Z, Anna, what's going on? How are you doing? And then we have Mick Victor, Genesis, One Aunt B, Dwayne Glower, Paula Ray, Pinch Runner, what's going on? Lord Andrew. Wow, Weather Channel just mentioned how many in Florida are getting sick now from walking in the floodwaters that were contaminated. Yes, actually, I believe we had that in our web only. Let's see here. They have been in our government for over 50 years. Who do you think T-Man was taking our country back from? That Gen X dude, Putin OG Ruski. We've got AK Figs a hangin'. JT, what's going on? Tartan Granny, Mirror 504, day by day. Nice to see you. Highly unusual disclosure made of U.S. ballistic missiles, submarines' presence in Arabian Sea. Dex, do you want to cover this one?
Yes, this is an obvious move. Okay. At first they said, well, they're just wanting to bring on one of the brass to let them have a tour and get on the ship. But when they bring a sub like this up and they surface it, it all of a sudden everybody knows where it is. You know, for most of the time you never see these unless they're at dock. They're underwater. They're hiding. They can't be found. That's their cover, right? So when they surface, they really surface for a reason. And this is more so, I think, to show, and that's what this article is talking about. I agree with it, is to show its presence in that area, whether it be for the I country or for Vlad, because it can be reached from there. And just a reminder that it's here. And there's many more that are out there, obviously, but bringing one of these up and making a scene like this is more than just let's let the brass come aboard and have a tour.
Yeah. So, and when they do that and they let somebody know about this, that's happened a couple times, it's usually, I mean, it's a kind of a veiled, say, hey, we're here, we're ready. It's definitely highly unusual, that's for sure. And then Iranian troops in Crimea backing Russian drone strikes. The White House said on Thursday that the U.S. has evidence that Iranian troops are directly engaged on the ground. Basically, they are involved in many other ways other than the drones. I mean, they're on the front lines with these things and using them to take lives. So that means these two countries are now tied into this conflict. You're bringing in more countries. You're making this a world conflict. You've got NATO countries with their gear and possibly their soldiers to train UKR people on the one side. And then you have, of course, Vlad with possible Belarusian soldiers, possible Iranian soldiers, possible NK soldiers. NK even offered them 100,000 people. Who's to say that they haven't actually taken them up on that offer? I don't think they would exactly advertise it. So you're getting more and more parties involved. Dex, I guess we kind of knew this would happen, especially if they're using all of their gear. You almost assume that if we have advanced gear, here's the thing. They have to bring in these guys because they say they know how to run these drones. Think about all the gear that all of our NATO countries sent UKR. Do you think they're not going to send our guys to train them on this gear or even run it?
Well, exactly. I mean, you can't think that that if these are the devices that are being there, that they're just random. Like you just hand them over and people can fly them. No, they have to have a crew there. They probably have people there running them for them. So, and it's probably the same with our equipment. I can't imagine that we haven't gone through extensive training and shown that we don't just hand them something that they've never seen before and say, here, good luck. That doesn't usually work. We've probably had special operators or contractors or something of that nature that have been doing sort of the same thing for UKR. But this is, the reason this is important. It's not just what's happening in UKR and what does it mean to Vlad and does it give him an advantage or anything. It really goes to the position of what are we negotiating with when it comes to the I country. And specifically their ambitions for, developing nuclear capability. Specifically, they want nuclear power, et cetera, and they want to build more of that and also create uranium that they can use for obviously weapons. So, if they continue to do these things against the West, then the West is probably not in a position to want to negotiate with them. So that's where this is coming from. It's not so much like, oh, the I country is going to jump in and be the savior. Like that's not happening. But it's really more along the lines of what does this mean to the negotiations? And now let's turn the tide and remind ourselves. We always, we tend to get distracted with what's going on in Europe because that's the hot point right now. But there is a hot point in the ME between is and the I country, and that will always be there. And it can flare up at any moment. And we've recently seen some of the other ME countries start to side with Vlad around oil and harming the intentions of what the West wants with reducing oil prices and bringing up oil production and them going, directly against that. So don't forget the ME because things will continue to kick off there. And, that's sort of what this is about.
Yeah, it's most definitely, it's going to be something that we're following and it just keeps progressing. Thank you, Bones. I appreciate you in the chat explaining. D-Truth, what is happening? Paul Phillips said something. Who said that? Rumble in the Temple says BTS getting drafted for years. So BTS, you probably know, you've probably seen their ads. Even McDonald's did like a BTS meal. Everybody got into K-pop. They had a million subscribers or something, or their music videos had like the most ever viewed video on YouTube. Just giant, world over, biggest boy band in the world. K-pop just blew up. These kids are, all like, little dolls or something, but they're saying that even they are getting drafted. I don't know, Dex, did we get that in the web only? I know that was a yesterday thing or maybe a today thing, but
I'll put it in there again if we didn't.
Okay, essentially they're getting drafted, and everybody in South Korea is under my understanding has a mandatory thing to join the military. I don't know if that's for publicity or to kind of make it, something to, get more people into the military or something. I just cannot see any one of the BTS kids, even the one with the deep voice. I just don't see it. But if that is the fact, are they getting them ready for a draft? Are they going to start drafting people and taking them in? Which, by the way, I don't know exactly how it works there. It made the one piece I saw made it sound like every man of that age has to do like 2 years of service. Maybe it's not going to be on the front lines, but it will be some sort of military service. I don't know if that's a new thing or an old thing, but that's just crazy to me. Think about what is happening all over the world. It's just getting worse and worse. All right, and then. Yeah, so we'll be watching what happens with the Middle East and what is happening with Vlad, which again, the Ayatollah, he's been making threats again, from what I hear. All right, and then before we go, Russia considering major withdrawal after Moscow commander's rare admission of army struggles. That is, I believe, under a hot mic. I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. This is the solar generator I was telling you about. It powers our show, and it can power your house. If you have one of these, you'll be set up and backed up for any kind of blackout, whether it be a couple hours or a couple days or a couple months. The cool thing about solar is once you have panels and this hooked up, it's a plug-and-play thing, you will have power. And this is extremely important, especially with a grid that is extremely vulnerable. If anything happens, let alone a storm, but an EMP or a CME, then you can have something like this to back you up. Great part also, it's silent. It does not make any sound. People won't be able to hear it from 3 blocks away. It does not take $6 a gallon gas, and there is little to no maintenance because it has no running motors. It doesn't have any fumes. You can use it inside your home. You can put it in the seat next to you in your truck. You can power pretty much anything. Again, it's a really cool system. It's modular like Lego. You can expand it up to 96 batteries. Or you can take up to 4 batteries or 5 batteries total in one stack and just take it with you. It is, again, plug and play, and it's very easy to use, and it's a very powerful tool for any prepper. If you don't have something to back up your power, then I'd highly recommend it. This is not cheap. This is one of the best out there, and there is still a waiting list. It's not 6 months now, but it has now come way down. So make sure to get it while you can. Lithium in the future is going to go up. That almost anybody can guarantee you. So get it, and this thing will last decades. So again, if you take care of it, it's much better to get it now than in 10 years from now or even 2 years from now, especially with inflation. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. All right, and you will get upwards of $170 off on a discount, depending on which package you pick. And then Russia considering major withdrawal after Moscow commander's rare admission of army struggles. So Dex, do you want to talk about this this instance, what happened here?
Are we talking about the hot mic?
Yes, the hot mic. And I was going to mention this on earlier's video, but I did not. And this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so we've got the Department of Defense here saying, hey, they're directly involved, right? So it was Kirby that came out and said, hey, we know that the I country is directly involved. But now what we've got is a hot mic coming from people at leadership levels in Vlad's country on mic saying, yeah, we know it's them, but we're not going to admit it. So they've actually said it. It's on mic. I mean, assuming the mic is real. But this hot mic event sort of came out and said, yeah, we know the drones are from the I country. And generally speaking, that, Moscow's not going to admit that.
No, they won't. There's been a couple instances in the last 6 months where we found out information that I don't think that we were supposed to. And this is, I believe, one of them, right? And then Pat W., thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Luis Martinez, Nana of Montana, thank you so much again for your support. Stephen McMahon. And Stephen Wilkes, thank you for subscribing. A bunch of new subscribers. By the way, we did gain a bunch of new people, so I do want to remind everybody. We do have 2 channels, and make sure to head over to Marfoogle News as well. And just remember, we try to push people up here, not push them down. Thank you. And then Vladimir Putin tried to detonate nuke, but his plans were sabotaged, insider claims. It says, as the world fears Vladimir Putin could fire nuclear weapons at Ukraine, it is claimed that the Russian president is facing disruptions with his atomic weapons plans due to sabotage or technical issues. What they're claiming here is that they tried to do some sort of nuclear event in the Black Sea, which there's been a rumor going around that there was an event. But apparently they are saying, an insider is saying, that in between, somebody disobeyed orders, which, by the way, if somebody actually did it on purpose or got caught, I think immediately they get a 10-year sentence or something under that new law, disobeying or what is it, disobedient or whatever they call it. And someone, I guess, had a problem with his orders and said they didn't want to do it or something. That's what they're claiming may have happened. They're saying that nobody agrees with the whole nuclear thing and that he's going to have a problem even using nukes because the people won't follow their orders because nobody wants to do it. Dex, do you think that was the case, or do you think it's possibly propaganda? Or I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like these guys would go against that, knowing what could be in it for them.
Well, and was this testing that was not allowed or stopped or didn't work, or was this a legitimate action that was stopped? That's the question, and I don't know that we'll ever know. At least not right now. And when we do find anything else out, it's probably going to be a lot of speculation and coming from, this source or that source or this insider or that insider, or an intelligence community is going to come out and say that they have information. But it all have to be taken with a grain of salt, no matter what. The question I sort of look at is let's look at it from the testing point of view. If he was going to test, what was he testing, right? Is it the Poseidon? That would be pretty, serious. And I don't even know where he would test that. If it was, just another, any other nuke, just to do it, just to, show, as a sign, could that have been the case? Is it possible it failed and their technology is just kind of screwed up and they had a malfunction? Or was he really, ordering a tactical, and did somebody actually stop it? I think those are the questions that sort of go around this story, in my opinion. But then the whole thing is, it's not sus, but it's sort of coming from insiders. So we don't really know how true it is. And it's all wrapped around this notion that there's this group that's trying to sabotage him within his own government. So, if you believe that, then I guess you could believe the story. If you don't believe that, then maybe you would question if the story is even legitimate at all.
Yeah, we don't know if it's true, and I guess soon we'll find out. If something does happen, then nobody sabotaged it. And then you can't force love. Russian diplomats told to kiss the West goodbye. Hope it's propaganda. Let's see here. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared on Tuesday that there is no need to maintain diplomatic presence in Western country, in the latest sign that Russia may be toying with the idea of completely severing diplomatic ties with Western country as its conflict in Ukraine nears the 9-month mark. It is neither point nor desire to maintain the previous presence in Western states. Our people work there in conditions that can hardly be called human, Lavrov said. According to TASS, quote, problems are being created constantly for them. They face threats of physical assaults. Lavrov, speaking to a group of graduates admitted to the diplomatic service, lamented that there is limited work available for Russians abroad. Most importantly, there's no work to do since Europe decided to shut off from us and sever any economic cooperation. You can't force love, Lavrov said. It wasn't immediately clear if Vlad's country had immediate plans to sever diplomatic relations with Western nations, but it's not the first time that Russia has threatened to dissolve diplomatic links with the West since invading UKR and facing off with Western sanctions. Vlad's country has threatened to sever diplomatic ties with Bulgaria this summer after Bulgaria expelled 70 diplomats. It said that Russia has suggested before that its relations with the West could be discarded with little effect. In March, the Kremlin provided the United States a note of protest, which included a threat to sever relations, following President JB's comments about the conflict in UKR. In August, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that the United States were to sever relations with Russia, Russia would, quote, get over it. They, quote, they should know we are prepared for any development of the situation. And if Washington opts to halt any contacts with Moscow, we will get over it, Zakharova said at the time. So if this is even 10% true, if they are considering this, and if it does happen, there's nothing holding them back from any kind of conflict.
This could be the precursor. So imagine this. Imagine if they were going to go forward and do some sort of strikes. They wouldn't want their people there. They wouldn't want their diplomats there. They would tell them to get out. And if they do something like this, they can actually get their diplomats out without necessarily putting up a warning sign, right? If all of a sudden they said tomorrow, all diplomats get out, everybody's going to freak out. Something's going down, right? So if they said, hey, we don't want to have ties anymore, and we're going to put this up as our excuse, and we're going to just pull all of our diplomats out. We're going to shut down our embassies. We're not going to do this anymore. We're done. Pack it up and go home. Then, so could this be the excuse, the precursor excuse to do that because they're going to do something else?
Yeah, I just wonder if this does happen, if they completely, first we'll see like, hey, they're not answering our calls, they're not talking to us, diplomats being expelled, embassies being closed. I guess those would be the signs to keep an eye out for. And then satellite photos show occupiers gathering forces on the border of Belarus and Ukraine. It says that recent satellite photos show the volume of Russian equipment and troops has increased at Zayabrovka. I think I said that right. Zayabrovka Air Base near the border with UKR. It says the news agency draws attention to the fact that the Zayabrovka military base near Gomel has undergone significant changes over the past month. Recently, more Russian equipment and troops have arrived there. It says that Russian military equipment and manpower, quote, arrived in Zayabrovka a week and a half ago. The Russians have been deployed there since the spring, but in limited numbers. Access to Zayabrovka is still closed. Russian troops are still there, but now there is more and more equipment and people coming. So this is an air satellite photo, and I believe this is August, right? August 24th. And this is 10/16. You can see, I don't see a crazy amount of.
Well, the main thing they're talking about here is they built up these mounds. So a lot of that disruption in the dirt are mounds that they built, and they've installed these not satellites, but radar type installations on top of the mounds. I think there's another picture that shows what that would look like. Not necessarily that picture is at the ground level. It's just an example of the ground level, but the satellite images are showing that. And they're also showing in some of the other images, they've shown some of the buildup of the equipment that has they've found that is happening. And then remember, we just reported like 9,000 more troops were moving in to Belarus. So this kind of supports that. It's like the photos supporting the statement that they made. And it wasn't like it was super secret. They actually said, we're bringing 9,000 more troops into Belarus.
Yeah, and I hear that there was like another 15,000 deployment that was going to be heading out or something soon, but that hasn't been confirmed. There's also a lot of stuff going on with Moldova. Moldova might pop up in the news. That's at least according to Fugel fam that are in military. So we'll see. We'll follow it. I wish it would be so awesome if regular people had access to global satellites 24/7 and it, we had access to what the government had access to. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, in the earlier article too about the consideration of the withdrawal and pulling out of Kherson, where one of the Russian military was saying that. I wonder too if that's not also an area of intentional weakness, where they're basically trying to create a vacuum where a bunch of the UKR forces would go into as they put up a guise of pullback, right? And then does that set up an opportunity for them to actually do something tactical? When you see a mass evacuation like that, we've heard about all the people being evacuated. We talked about yesterday, we talked about 60,000 people being relocated out of the area. And they were going to do 10,000 a day. And now we hear, forces moving out of that area. Well, they don't just move unless they're being pushed. But if they're being pushed and they're being moved, then you assume there's a heavy buildup of forces coming in to try to do that. That could either be real or it could be sort of not real. It could be set up in a way that is creating an intentional vacuum for military forces to move in, thinking they're winning or doing something, to then be hit. So that's what when I think about some of this stuff that's happening, you sort of kind of look at all the different angles on it.
Yeah, well, and there was some sort of I was looking for an article that actually went with this that shows that they may be shipping other supplies to the other part of this border, but I can't find it. Also, why are people in chat saying that Jason A, or rest in peace Jason A? It looks like Jason A posted a video just an hour ago. So Jason A, is there some sort of thing I'm not seeing here? Or is there a different Jason A in our chat that passed? Let's see. I've watched Jason A for years, or the channel Jason A, if you guys haven't seen it. Does great, I guess, editing to edit together all of the current events. Says something just big happened in our universe an hour ago. Dex, could you just see if there's... I'm assuming that people are just joking or something. I don't know.
I see a couple people asking, but only one person said that.
Somebody said, rest in peace, Jason A, because his channel has been bad lately. Bad? Huh. I don't know. I think his videos have always been pretty good. He edits together all of the current events. I think that he's got to have some sort of shadow stuff going on because he doesn't get the views he used to. His videos used to get like millions of views. Same with there's another channel that, oh gosh, do you remember when Anonymous was suggested all over the place? Now that channel's like 3 million subscribers, and they actually put a notice on the beginning of their videos that say they're not reaching 80% of their audience or something. And it's true. They have 3 million subscribers, and the views they get, it's like, how are they not being held back? All right, and then before Dex is going to go over the web only, just a quick reminder, if you do need long-term survival food, we have a reference for you. You can go over to marfooglenews.com/prep, and you can actually get yourself a discount, 20% off on up to the 3-month package, which is actually the buckets of Mylar packed MREs that are sealed, everything you need for 3 months of life and food. Go over there and check it out, marfooglenews.com/prep. They also have iodide tablets if they're in stock. I don't know. A lot of places are now out of stock of that. They carry them. And then, of course, they have Alexapure Pros. They have great water filtration systems if you don't trust what's in your water. Emergency radios, backup batteries, all sorts of great stuff. But mostly their big thing is their food. If you can go over and get a 72-hour kit. You can get a 3-day kit, of course, a week. You can get 2 weeks. You can get a month, 3 months. The more you buy, the bigger kind of discount you get, and you can stock up. All right, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. That also helps us at the same time as getting you a discount. Thank you. Dex, let's go over the web only. It looks like we have some pretty crazy stuff that is down there, including, I believe you got all the stuff I sent you, right? I added a few things as well last minute, so I don't know if you got those.
Yeah, I think they're all there. If not, I'll double check and before the show's over, there will be. But I think I've got everything there. And by the way, the iodide tablets are in stock at the moment, but that can change. So, head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show. If you're on YouTube or Rumble, click in the description, click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here. You get all the content we just went over, talk about all the articles we just covered, and then you get this yellow bar that says overflow. This is the rest of the story. Really great explanation or analysis piece that kind of goes with some of the stuff we've talked about on our other channel, Marfoogle News, around the food crisis that's coming out of Tyler Durden. You guys know who that is, Zero. That's there. You might want to check that out. It's really good. It's talking about what's coming in 2023. It seems like the cough or the CV, as some people call it, is coming back in parts of Manhattan. So there's some stats that have been released on that. You want to check that out. Some things happening around DC, and then of course we've got the political coverage that has gone on and will continue to go on, including even outside of our country with Truss, and what's happening there, and lots of coverage along that lines. So you can get all your fix if you want on it. Plenty of other things going on around the oil, specifically with SA from the Middle East. And some things that the Pentagon is doing. Of course, Kanye's still in the news around Parler. There's some, commentary coming from the people that were working there and what they feel about it. For those of you that may have been following the Kevin Spacey thing, that's it came out. He was not liable. So if you want to know the details of that, it's in there, as well as a lot more. So, even something about the OOG, it's in there about biometric data. So go check it out. A snake on a plane freaked out a bunch of people, and it was not even a harmful snake. It was just a little garter snake. But you just imagine everybody in the airplane just freaking out and lifting their legs because somebody shouts snake. That and so much more. There's a lot. You're missing out on an entire show of information. So make sure to head over to marfooglenews.com or open up that description and click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here. You can get to the rest of the story, everything else we couldn't cover in tonight's show. We try to put that together for you every night.
And thank you, Scooby Doo Right says you're awesome. Well, thank you, and End Times. Thank you for stopping by. It's been a while, and say hi to everybody over there on D Live. Haven't talked to Chaw Money in a long time, and so many great people over there. Sniffles 711, Nancy B. Wild, thank you. Thank you to Pat W. I appreciate you. Kenny Crowder, Snow Leo. Nana of Montana, Stephen McMahon, of course, Carol McLean, Machina Opus, Gen X Voice, Neil Nelson, It's Vlade Dead, Vlade Dade, Be Real Beast, and of course, Mary Tyndall, Spartan O Negative, Natalie D, Greg Davis, Mir 504, 007, Meat Puppet 007, Bible Talk 777, and of course, G10, 909, Alex Hawkins, and Fate Favors the Prepared Dean. Love you guys. Thank you for your support this week. Thank you for supporting Independent. And remember to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Check out all of our other creators as far as the creators we believe in and think that should get support. I saw All Day Every Day Preparedness in the chat. I forgot to shout you out, but hopefully if you are still out there, you do an amazing job and you deserve to be so much bigger than 2,000. I hope you keep putting out videos. We can, of course, send people your way. And yeah, you do great stuff. Alaska Prepper was completely right about you. You're doing a great, great job. So, and then make sure to check out channels like Jacob Israel, our good friend. It is really crazy, and I will say I am tripped out. It seems like Elon Musk is directly watching Jacob Israel. And that means by way of being suggested, he could be watching us. And I'm not even kidding. And Jacob wasn't saying it like, oh, you know, oh, he's watching like it's a cool thing or whatever. He knows. I mean, by the way, Dex, isn't it a trip? He basically did a video on Elon Musk, called it 1111, did all of this stuff, mentioned very specific symbols. Elon Musk ended up tweeting out a custom picture that had the symbol that he was talking about with the three people that he was talking about, Kanye, T-Man, and Elon. He then posted it at exactly 11:11 p.m. And the second that Jacob Israel retweeted it, he deleted the tweet an hour later, which is now still on PolitiFact. You can see that he did it. It's such a trip because he did it at 11:11, which he had to do it in a different time zone for it to show up as 11:11 to Jacob Israel. This is like the 5th time he has trolled Jacob Israel. He's done it 5 times. And it's way beyond coincidence. And I know it's not that crazy. You know, Elon's a human being. Elon is watching Jacob Israel. Is that not just a huge trip and a half? Dex, when you saw the symbols and everything else, there's no way because Jacob did them first. It's not like Jacob did it after Elon. He did it before.
Yeah, the timing is spot on, at least, you know, in the sense that everything happened before and then boom, that tweet was made and then boom, that tweet was removed. So it was kind of interesting. It was very interesting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's not the first time. There's been numerous things that have happened with him.
Where he did the thing with the burnt hair.
Wow, that's kind of interesting.
So if Elon, and you think, you know, I bet people at the very top, they look up videos of themselves. Jacob does a lot of videos on Elon, so you could see how he might find himself if, you know, if he types in his own name and finds, you know, Jacob's videos or whatever and started watching them. I know, you know, PewDiePie has popped into my channel. I mean, that's not a big deal, but he is the largest YouTuber on the platform out of 2 billion channels. For him to find my channel, he ended up finding it because of when we joined DLive. So it's just weird how people find you. We had, of course, you know.
Yeah, that one actually made sense. I mean, because of the whole connection. Because we were like the biggest hit on DLive at the time, aside from him. He was the hugest hit. But yeah, I'm sure he was like, who's this?
Yeah, we were in the top left spot. It's pretty, if you have the most viewers, how it puts you up at the very top. He ended up finding us that way because he had a contract with DLive for a while. So it made sense why he was in ours. But Elon directly trolling Jacob Israel is a real big trip. That just trips me out. I mean, you'll have to see the full context of everything and you can say, oh, no. I mean, there's 100%. He even did the cross sign and the X app and the 3 Musketeers. It's insane. Jacob did a video on it, I believe, yesterday, and it's too much. It's like the 4th or 5th time. And he has sent me text messages like, dude, Elon's trolling me. It's crazy, which kind of freaks me out. You know, it's like these are powerful people. One of the most powerful people in the world, and he's possibly watching, you know, this group of people, right? All right, and then thank you everybody, and thank you for the mods. Just a quick note. Yeah, somebody, believe somebody was trying to insult somebody and said, well, I'm not getting my free speech in this chat. Every YouTube channel that you go into, whoever you are listening to, they own that channel. YouTube is a platform, but the people that you're watching, they own their platform, and it's like a private, it's like if you walked into somebody's house and you start yelling at them and you start swearing at them, you put your feet up on their table, you swear at them and say that they're a bloody pig or something, and they say, okay, be quiet, and you go, no, free speech. Okay, you can have your free speech, but you can do it out on the sidewalk. You can't do it in somebody else's house. We own the channel. We can sell the channel. It is our house. We own the property. We own the videos. We own everything. So when you're in our chat, all we ask is that you're polite and don't push people down, and that's it. So it's not it's not an issue of free speech in the chat. We try to let opinions out and, have everybody have their opinion and everything else. But we don't let you put down other channels. We don't let you talk trash about people. We don't let you, put people down. I mean, it's that simple. It's very easy. And then we don't allow like grotesque language because we have all ages here, and we have people that are trying to get information that are watching this with their kids. So I appreciate everybody that understands that. And if you do get, timed out or banned or muted, most of the time people are really mad if they get timed out for a couple seconds, but it's like, just come back in. Everybody gets so offended. It's a timeout. I guess, yeah, people go, I'm an adult, I don't need a timeout. Well, read the rules on the rule list as you come into chat, and then you can avoid all that. All right, and it is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you.
He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito.
Thank you, everybody that is in the house. Thank you to all of the mods. To, of course, Bones, CJ Blaze, Gem, Jammer One, Lisa R. Hall, PNW Affliction, Rip Crow Readiness, RGL Harris, Survival Game, Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, High Oak, Kermit the Frog here. That would, if Elon Musk was in chat, I would say, what's up? What's up, Elon?
I got the rain in the Becca, lifeboat. Joe, do you know when the Tories up Portillo? The way I glow, I'm mirror 504, and Angel Webster. Gotta smash that like in the Joe, do you know when the storm, bro, in the emissary, so fit, with a Marvin Fuentine. And a Captain Scotty White, a Justin Baldwin, Michael Jordan, seeking true. Hey, I'm with Joe, baby, with a baby, hey, better back down. Everybody really want them down, hey, with it back no down. So I'm vibe game, I'm Elon Musk, oh yeah, hey, with the Elon Musk, with the Beano Buzz, with the James Paladin. Underneath that Taurus, with the
So Enoch, I saw a comment earlier that I actually think probably should have been left up, but you said, this guy's talking about BTS, well, the world is falling apart. No, I was talking about BTS actually getting drafted into the military. If somebody like them can actually go into their mandatory service, it kind of says a lot, if it means what it means. But I get you, Enoch, and I apologize. But I get why he did that.
Of the sheep, he's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. We the Gatling beam, is God was torn. Everybody's torn. Rumble in the temple of Russia and the big old corn that China's keeping for all of themselves. Everybody, watch your hell. He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. He's a creepo, man of the sheepo. He's smart as tall as a damn DeVito. I got dead down there next to Alonzo Brecker, yes to Terra be like 3 and Empress of royalty. I'm Murphy's Lawn too. I'll just involving you and that license go bro. I've got the Bobby Brown, unknown rider now. I'll rock Max and I bet Mermaid. Everybody knows it by with a damn one and fly away to Pariah. I whip with your no. Bring it on back with a logo. Hey, a night bug and a Clifford on the pass in the big bammer. Hey, I with the Kathleen Demons. Hey, to the Anna Well. I'm not gonna say it. Hey, everybody gonna play it. I say, I wang.